Hi friends! Today we're going to celebrate sunflowers. I'm going to do a fancy fold card using very vanilla cardstock, 4.5 1/4 by 11, scored at the 5.5. We're going to cut the top portion of the front facing card at 1 3/4, and then we're going to come across and cut down at the score line to remove the top portion of the card. Next, we're going to use from the Flowers for Every Season Designer Series paper the striped and a pretty floral. The floral is cut at 1 5/8 by 5 3/8, and the stripe is cut at 2 5/8 by 5 3/8. I'm inking the edges for just a nicer look. Now we're going to add our sentiment. I'm also using a scrap of very vanilla cardstock with the Magenta Madness ink. I'm trimming this at 3 1/4 by 1 inch. And then I'm going to make it a banner by cutting out a triangle at the end. So I cut it in the center, and then I cut it at starting at each corner into the center point where I cut. And as you can see, I had a previous error on my stamping. I thought I could stamp directly on the stamping paper, but it didn't work out. Now I'm adhering a liquid adhesive. You could use any of your stamping adhesives. The stripe I'm placing on the bottom half of my card where the cutout, the front facing, and then the floral piece I'm going to glue to actually the inside of the card, because remember we cut out the front portion of the top rectangle. I'm going to place the sentiment up on dimensionals. I'm going to use 3 dimensionals. Then we're going to proceed to die cut out the various sunflowers. So I did a vellum stamping of the sunflowers, as you've seen me do in other videos. And then I'm also cutting out the smaller sunflower. I'm going to stamp the image after the die cutting, as you see here. I'm going to be doing that on the vellum paper as well, and we'll go through the steps now of clear embossing on vellum. So I've stamped the images. I'm using the Magenta Madness ink, and this is clear embossing powder I'm sprinkling over this. Then you want to dust off the excess and clear away your... This is the heat tool, and we're going to melt the embossing powder until you see it shiny. I've already die cutted these out for sake of time, and I'm removing the leaves portions of these smaller sunflowers. These cut edges will be hid under the larger sunflower when we go to adhere them all together to the card face, so I'm not worried about my cut edges not looking as nice as the die cutted edge. And we've cut away the leaves for the vellum ones as well. Now I'm taking the Bumblebee ink, and I am just using a sponge dauber and adding some dimension and color, extra color to the paper. I think it adds a little more oomph to your card. I will also add a little bit more ink to the back side of the vellum. I do it on the back side because the ink is going to take a really long time to dry, and I don't want to accidentally touch it and get ink all over. So on the back side it's pretty safe. Now I'm going to ink the center of the sunflower cutout, and I think it's just going to give it a little bit more dimension. Originally I wasn't going to put a yellow sunflower center to that cutout, but I changed my mind. In a moment you'll see I place a yellow on that large sunflower as well. So I only glue the center of the card base or the flower base so that it won't show through on the vellum. And then when I adhere these two pieces to the base of the sunflower, I will also only glue in that one section. That way I don't risk glue showing through in the vellum. The way I align the sunflowers is I look for the, at the bottom you'll see the petals curve, and so I always look for those curved. There's 3 curves that occur, 3 petals that are curved, and I look for that. Now I'm just looking at the layout of my card, and these are the smaller sunflowers that we had cut the leaves off. Just trying to line it up. And then I'm not worried about the centers because I'm going to put those yellows centers in there. I'm also going to place those up, pop those up with dimensionals. And I'm going to slightly cover the cut area. So now when you glue, you only want to glue half, the bottom half of your sunflower when you add it to your fold card, the fancy fold, because that card's going to open and that sunflower is going to come over on the other side. So you just want to make sure no glue got over. And you'll see I'm going to tuck that under the large sunflower, that raw cut edge where I was cutting off the leaves. I prefer a wet adhesive for most of this type of paper crafting, but you can use the stamping any stamping adhesive your choice, preference. And there's the card. So now we're going to add some butterflies. I'm using the Just Jade ink, and this is a stamp pad that works with the punch. And what's nice about this is it comes with solid images, and I'm stamping off the first layer of ink so that the impression is not too strong and covers up the detail of the butterfly. So I'm gonna stamp it off, and then the residual ink on there is what's going to color the butterfly. This is a nice stamp set if you don't like to color a lot, which is me, and that's why I like the sponge daubers a lot. But these solid images take care of that for me. I like the way it looks when you stamp off the first layer of ink. And then this butterfly stamp has a little butterfly and a big butterfly, and they fit perfectly in this punch, as you'll see. The The nice thing is the stamps are designed together where the two butterflies are connected. You could cut them apart if you wish. I find it easier just to use them together. And then the stamp set also includes their body and antennas. I haven't gotten to the point where I've been using the antennas because usually I stamp where I place my butterflies. I pop them up with dimensionals, and then I place them anywhere. So an antenna stamp isn't always going to work out for me. I like to put 4 dimensionals. These are the mini dimensionals on the large butterfly, and then I like to cut the dimensional in half for the smaller butterfly. And then what I do is I take liquid adhesive down the center where I stamped the black body on the other side. So what I'm going to do is I'll stick the butterfly down to the base of the card with the center of the body where I put the wet adhesive, and then I will get the wings dimension by folding. So I add a little fold in their wings, and then the dimensions will give them the lift they need just for a 3D effect. Sorry, I'm off screen in that corner. And there you have the card. I think it came out really cute. I'm going to add some stamping inside. This particular Celebrate Sunflower set, it did have 2 inside sentiments I could add. I just left it at this point. And again, I stamped off the first layer.